your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome to Board Indiana Sports Beat. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. Appreciate you taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride here on this post-July 4th celebration. Coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jake's at the wheel keeping things online. Hope everybody had a happy and safe July 4th. You know, I heard the fireworks going off all night, Jake. I never saw a single firework last night. Not in the last 2 nights.
I saw a ton of them. There's a fireworks store. I mean, of course, I'm from Pekin, Indiana. Oldest consecutive 4th of July celebration, technically in the world. I mean, no big deal. But there's a fireworks.
Especially since the world doesn't give a crap. It's the country,
that's what I'm saying. I mean, but
it's still a pretty unique thing. A little bitty Pekin, Indiana, down in southern Indiana, down there where you are. The longest continuous 4th of July celebration. But see, now there's some people that claim that as well, right?
Well, they're wrong. So,
how long has this supposedly been going on?
Oh,
come on, man.
200, no, maybe not that long. Here, I got a book. I'll be right back.
Don't tell me since 1776 because, but yeah, it's so funny. Pekin's this little bitty old town. I mean, little bitty old town. But I remember driving through there or whatever, and you'd always see that sign they got up, home of the oldest, longest continuous running 4th of July celebration in the country. So they take big pride in that. Don't know how they've been able to document that. Especially before the days before Google. So
189th.
So how old is the United States? 1776. So what's the math on that? What are we now? Getting up there around 250. 249. What is that?
243.
What's the math? 243. 243 years old. That's amazing. This country is only 243 years old, which is nothing when you compare it to the rest of the world. They have buildings older than that. Most countries in Europe have buildings older than this country. It is amazing, but I was thinking about that, watching stuff over the last couple of days. But so celebrate America. Yeah, happy birthday, America. Happy birthday, America. Hey, on the program today, great show. Bob Kravitz. I don't think Bob has been on with us before. I talk to him all the time at events, sporting events, whatnot, and we've talked about it. Just whatever reason, I don't think Bob's ever been on. But that'll change today. You know, Bob was a longtime writer for the Indianapolis Star. I think he was there for 14 years. He now with The Athletic. He's a senior writer for the Athletics Indiana edition. He writes columns on features the Colts, the Pacers, college sports, other topics. 14 years as lead sports columnist for the Indianapolis Star before departing. He went with WTHR, Channel 13 in Indianapolis for about 6 years and with the Athletic. And now he's us today, so look forward to that. So our good buddy Todd Leary is on the show today. We'll see how everybody's July 4th holidays went. It's that lull in the summer, man. The funny thing is, I've been waiting for it to hit because it always comes, but usually it's a little sooner than this. And so I was getting a little fat and sassy and happy with everything that was going on, even World Cup. But even World Cup took a hiatus for us. How convenient was that it took a hiatus over the July 4th holiday? It's like it was perfectly planned, which it was not. But cool. The women will go for the title on Sunday, 11 a.m. The Netherlands, right? 1-0 winners over Sweden the other day. I haven't heard a lot of talk about anything. People complaining about team mimicking and all that stuff in the last couple of days. Yogi Ferrell, he got some happy news yesterday. You know, he with the Sacramento Kings of the NBA, and his option was expired yesterday, and it had to be picked up by yesterday, and it was guaranteed salary through one more year. That's got to make him happy. That's got to give him, 4 years in the league, 5 years in the league. That's what you need, baby. He's in for life now. He can retire. The Utah Summer League ended on Wednesday. Juwan Morgan participating in that with the Jazz. He didn't play in the first game. And then he played in both the subsequent next 2 games. Scored 1 point over those 2 games. He was 0 for 6 from the field. Actually, I take that back. He had 5 rebounds in that first game. I don't know how many attempts he I think he missed his only shot in that game. First game he played in, and missed his only shot in the second game. But 1 point over 2 games, you know, you're going to have some production, man. Not sure where Juwan's going to end up, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be in the NBA. But a lot of options, as you've seen. So many players. A lot of them opt to go to Europe versus the G League, because the G League is, if you're going to bump up to the NBA, and that's probably going to be if pro ball is in Juwan's future, it's probably more than likely going to be over in Europe. We'll see how that works out, because now the Summer League, while it is ended in Utah, it will now head to Las Vegas starting today. That thing runs for the next 10 days. This is where it really gets fun, man. There are tons of games. Utah had their own little summer league. There was a summer league out in Cali, I think. There was another one somewhere else. But now they all head to Vegas. Can you imagine all those guys in Vegas at the same time? I mean, it's nuts, because they got like 15 guys on the team. I said 20 the other day because that seemed like it. I don't know how many they have, but a ton on the roster. And I don't know if they pare that roster down in Vegas or what. But regardless, a lot of athletes out there at the same time. How was everybody's July 4th holiday? Hope it was a good one. I did very little, man. It was just very relaxing. Did attend a barbecue yesterday. My daughter got back. She was out of the country. I was worried. She was over in Slovakia doing a mission trip. She loves doing those, and it just does nothing but cause worry for us back here. But the entire group got sick, apparently. And they wouldn't let them leave. They were trying to leave Poland, the airport, and they wouldn't let them leave because of all the sickness. That caused a little worry. Only 2 that did not get sick, but they finally got out, and everybody's home. So happy about that as well. But man, what's next on the Indiana sports line? You've got football. We're less than 60 days away from kickoff on football, and that talk will ramp up soon, actually, because we've got media days coming up. I think that's the 16th through the 19th. So we're not that far away from. We're about 11 days away from football media days. We'll be coming to you live from Chicago for that, doing our shows from up there, and see who all we can grab. Especially now at this later time, that ought to make it awesome being able to get guests. So that could be a big day. We could have a bunch of guys lined up. That would be fun, huh? Looking forward to that. So, Jake, how was your 4th of July holiday?
It was pretty good. I also didn't do a ton. Like, I didn't go over to the park or anything like that, where all like the main festivities are. But there was fireworks all over the place. You could hear them, see them just by going outside. There's actually a fireworks store across the street from my parents' house, and after the main fireworks show that the town put on, the fireworks store, I guess they just unloaded their stock in their parking lot because that show went on for like an hour. And,
wow.
And it sounded like a war zone almost because, I mean, they just had so many fireworks that it seemed like they just let off at the same time. So, and then really just grilled out yesterday, played some basketball, and just chilled out.
Yeah, that's about the sum of it. I was looking at this little pitch here. It says, a longtime Lakers fan Snoop Dogg makes a pitch for Kawhi Leonard to come back to L.A. I was looking to see if that was actually sound on that. Cracked me up the other day. Man, they were following him around like OJ. Helicopter, watching the car trail. I'm like, really? Come on, people. Ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. Actually, that's asinine. I think that was for his stop in Toronto. Isn't that what they said in Argo? Canadians don't say the T, Toronto. But
I don't know.
Yeah, crazy. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it is actually. I'm going to have to get you, man, you'll have to pull that up. But it's on Yahoo Sports NBA. But I can play it, but you probably can't hear it as well if I play it. I can try, though. This is Snoop Dogg. Maybe it's Snoop Dogg.
Kawhi, come back to L.A. They said, Kawhi, tell me that you'll be a Laker. Kawhi, come back to L.A. Don't do Drake that way. Kawhi, you should sign back with them Lakers.
Yeah. A little Snoop Dogg action. Trying to get Kawhi Leonard to come to L.A. Don't know if that's going to happen. I think he may stay in Toronto.
I think he does too, to be honest.
You know, I was bored yesterday and people were talking just stupid stuff about.
I hope you aren't talking about the barbecue you were at.
No. I was talking on Twitter, but I was going to talk about Whataburger. Someone mentioned In-N-Out, and I threw up a Whataburger. I said, no, Whataburger's the king. And, man, I wake up this morning. That thing had so many responses. I'm like, really? That's what people are talking about on my Twitter today is Whataburger. So it's just hilarious. Hey, man, we got a great show today. Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. First time with us. Looking forward to that. Bob is a longtime sports columnist in the state of Indiana. Has covered the Hoosiers, Colts, everything for a long, long time. Now with The Athletic, senior writer for them. So look forward to talking to Bob. Todd Leary, former Hoosier, always with us every Friday. Look forward to talking to Todd as well. Before that, here's a little bonus for you. How about a little interview with Brian Evans? Former Hoosier there. Great, one of my favorite interviews that we've done. But we've got a lot coming up here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Indiana Sports Beat back with all that and more after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. I'm happy to join you guys. This will be fun.
Looking forward. Been wanting to talk to you for a long time. You're one of those players that Todd Leary's on the show each Friday, and we talk about recruiting a lot, and he's always laughing at those quote unquote recruiting experts, and your recruiting was kind of a perfect example of why he does that, because all these guys are ranked 5-star and this star, and you weren't really recruited heavily, but you end up being a Big Ten Player of the Year, IU Hall of Famer, playing the NBA. It's funny how these experts have things pegged so well right now, but it's not always the case.
No, you're right. I think I do think they've gotten better through the years. I mean, it's a real business for sure. But there's certain things they can't measure. I think that top tier guys, the 5-star guys, I mean, you're almost guaranteed a really good player. But some of those guys are going to lack heart and intensity and commitment. I mean, they're not all home runs, right? I mean, just because they're 5-star guys, they're basically at that age, they're 5-star ability. and then you get guys that, I would probably throw myself in that category. That I'd have given my right arm to play for Bob Knight at Indiana. And so when I got an opportunity to be there, I worked as hard as I could, and I listened the best that I could, and I gave everything I had to it. And I had a great coach that was, pushing me and driving me every day and not giving me days off. So it was kind of like a perfect storm. But I think I'm with Todd when it comes to, they overdo it now, and because it's become a business, it's just that, right? It's a big business.
Yeah, and you look back at the guys that you played with at Indiana, coming out of high school, I don't know how many of those guys would have been enlisted as 5 stars, but I know there was a whole bunch of guys that made it to the NBA on that team and were unbelievable players, which is, again, funny because, man, there was, 8 guys off of that era that came right before you, right after you, that probably played in the NBA?
Yeah, several guys for sure, and, it was one of those things. I think Coach had won at such a high level that we were all watching the Steve Alford, 87 team, and recruiting for Coach in the state of Indiana was fish in a barrel at that time. And, if he wanted you wanted him back, and you wanted to play here. So, but still, we had a pretty cool culture where, guys like me, I came in there and certainly wasn't I don't even know if I would have been a 2-star recruit, to be honest, but, I know I didn't score 1,000 points in high school, and you think about Damon scored 3,000 points. I didn't score 1,000. And, but at the same time, I went to practice and I played against Calvert Cheney, and Alan Henderson, we're in the same class, but it was invaluable stuff, to go and have to lace them up every day and know that you're gonna be guarding and get guarded by, the college player of the year. So all of those things, and Bob Knight calling the shots really helped somebody like me improve the way that I did.
And you talk about the guys you played against, and I mentioned a minute ago how many guys were on that team that just turned out to be unbelievably exceptional. Todd Leary, Calvert Cheney, Damon Bailey, Pat Graham, Eric Anderson. But I don't know if he may have been before you. I can't remember, but there was crossover there. But so many guys, Nover, that had to make some battles in practice. just wars, which had to make you guys incredibly good from that standpoint alone.
Yeah, that's a lot of great players, and a lot of those guys, Eric included. He was a senior my redshirt freshman year, so I did get to play with him, and the practices they were super competitive, and coaches, though he set it up so practice was more challenging and more difficult than the game, and that's easy to say that. And I coached my daughter's 4th grade team this past winter, and I can promise you that the practices were not as difficult as the games. So it's easy to say that you're going to do that, but Coach Knight really did create that environment. So it was intense, and when I got there, that's the only way I knew. I didn't know it was any different. So we had some really good teams those first few years, and as we tapered off a little bit, maybe my last 2 years, and didn't have the same type of success, and I saw then the practices changed. But man, it was intense, and if you were going to beat somebody out and win a spot, you were beating out a pro basketball player to get some playing time.
And how much does that go into making the team great? You guys, you were on, no doubt, to me, arguably the best team to not win a national championship. Is incredible. Just some bad luck happened at the wrong time. But man, I just think back to those teams were unbelievably good. But we talk about these battles in practice. How far did that go to making you guys as good as you were?
Well, again, I'll start off by saying when I got, that's all I knew. I just remember thinking, man, this is no joke. I can't believe how difficult practice is. I was exhausted, and, Coach was on us. He never let up. And that's, I love him for that, looking back on how he never took a day off, and so he was pushing us, and it was really competitive. And we didn't. I still think about like those Michigan teams with the Fab Five, and a couple of the Ohio State teams with Jimmy Jackson, and we still weren't the most talented team. I mean, we had a lot of guys that played pro basketball, but we didn't have that. We didn't have NBA All-Star talent. But we found a way to play together, and we were a good team. I mean, we were the best team in the conference, but we weren't shoo-ins to play in the NBA by any means.
Yeah, I remember those Fab Five era. Those guys didn't win the Big Ten. Indiana did. Your Indiana teams won the Big Ten against those guys.
That's right. I think I'm very proud of that. I watched that 30 for 30 on the Fab Five, and I'm screaming from the mountaintop. Unfortunately, only my wife and kids can hear me screaming in the living room when I'm trying to tell everybody that Michigan never won a Big Ten title. Nobody's listening.
There's a lot of Hoosier Nation that was listening, I promise you. They were probably shouting the same thing. That's probably why they couldn't hear you, because they're all yelling the same thing. But that in and of itself is a testament to team basketball and how important it is to have a team more than it is to have superstars. Because you look at today, the five stars, these one and dones.
No, you're right. No, you're right. And can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay. I think it starts with, so you got a lot of talent, who is that top guy on your team? Who is the best player that you have? Because that matters, and our best player was Calvert Chaney. And Calvert Chaney was as good of a leader. I mean, he was a quiet leader. He didn't have a lot to say, but he was an unselfish guy. And he cared more about the team. Calvert, as great as he was, and he ran away with the, Player of the Year, the Wooden Award, obviously the Big Ten Player of the Year. And he knew that those awards would take care of themselves if his team won. And he really did. It's easy to say that, but that's really the way he played, and he personified that every single day, where our best player cared more about our team than he did himself. And that's a huge deal. So who's your best player? And if that guy is thinking it all about himself and thinking all about his NBA potential, that can hurt a team. And, and we didn't have that, because if Calvert had a guy, he caught the ball in the wing and he had somebody recovering to him, and he saw me in the corner, even though I was a freshman, and he thought I could make that shot, I got the ball. He delivered the ball to the next guy, and he trusted his teammates, and it's underappreciated for sure. And so we had guys like that. I mean, when your best player, makes me think of the San Antonio Spurs and Tim Duncan, who I love. I was a teammate of his on a USA team, and he was much like Calvert, where he's the best player out there. There's no question. Nobody could question that. But he's the best teammate out there as well. And when you have that, you win, and you win big.
Is that part of what makes them the best players? Because not only are they athletically and talented in what they do, but mentally being able to look for the win, not so much the accolades.
Well, I sure think so. I mean, I was around a couple really good ones, and Calvert was at the top of the list. Tim Duncan was right there, where I played on a USA team going into my senior year at IU, and it was Tim, and it was Ray Allen and Allen Iverson, and it was a really good team. And the best player was Tim, and he didn't care if he came off the bench or played 15 minutes. He dominated the game, but he was a team guy. And Calvert was like that. I mean, Calvert ran away with the Player of the Year awards that year, and if you saw us on a road trip or you saw us having dinner, I mean, there was nothing showy about that guy. He was one of the 12 guys on the team, and I think when you have a leader like that, it's a big deal.
I had another teammate of yours on not too long ago. Greg Graham was on with us, and one of the things that he talked about was the lack of an IU presence on the current staff. and it's not a knock on the staff, but just an observation. But there is just not an IU presence there, really. Derek Elston's on there, but he's not really part of the immediate assistant coach's staff, and he thinks that really hurts the program. What do you think that's going to take for Indiana? Because they're not right now. Today, Indiana is not the Indiana of old. What's it going to take for them to get back to those, at least that type of era?
That's a tough question. I was an IU basketball fan my whole life, and somehow got invited to go play there at the 11th hour. And, had a great experience, and it's a funny deal because then I go straight back to being a fan, right? And I've stayed a fan for the last 22 years since I've been gone, and I don't have all the answers, and I love the program. And I think it's because I'm so much of a diehard fan that I root for Archie. I mean, I know he's younger than me, right? But I look at him and I'm rooting so hard for those guys, and I just hope they're doing the right things. I don't know if the answer is they need an IU guy on staff. I don't know what that means. I understand that Greg would feel that way. I just don't know. I love the program. I like to see him get it back to where we win, consistently year in and year out. And because I don't live that life, and I'm not on that staff, and I'm not in college basketball, I can't even say that I know what it takes to do that. I know it's a tough job. I mean, and that's why we pay those guys so much money. That ain't easy, and they're up against it big time. And so, our program had fallen off a lot in the last several years, and trying to rebuild that, I know it's a tough job.
Hey, that's Brian Evans, former Hoosier basketball player. We got a lot more with him coming up here on the program. In addition to Bob Kravitz and Todd Leary, stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett. Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us research program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
One of the things that really rings true, though, you talk about being a fan, and whether it's Greg, Graham, or Todd, you can tell that comes through. They're not just former players; they're actually fans still to this day of the program. And I wonder if is that still there with some of these high school kids right now.
I don't know. That's another. Hey, you pose great questions. I don't know the answer to that one. I think so much has changed. The kids have changed. I think about the Virginia team this year, who I just enjoyed watching play, and I love the way that the brand of basketball, and those guys really, to me, seem like they played for one another, and they played for the name on the front of the jersey versus the back. And I'm a sucker for that stuff, right? And I think the casual, the typical Indiana fan would agree with me. That's what we love, right? And I don't know that's what we had last year. I don't know that that's what we were watching. But I loved watching that team. Yet they go win a title, and there's probably one solid pro prospect on that team. DeAndre Hunter is probably the solid pro prospect who's a lottery pick. And 20 years ago when I played, if you weren't a lottery pick, you'd come back to school to try to boost that your draft status. And nowadays it's totally different. Everybody leaves. James Blackman leaves. He's not going to be drafted, but he leaves. I don't understand that. I still don't understand. Why would you leave Bloomington? It's the greatest place. It's the greatest school. I had so much fun when I was there. I don't understand. If I'd had a sixth year, I'd have gone back again. I just don't understand where these guys think they're going. You're in a race to the D-League. You're in a race to play in the third division in Sweden. Where are you going? There's nothing better than Bloomington, Indiana, and playing in Assembly Hall in front of those fans. I have a hard time understanding what's going on in college, to be real honest with you. Guys, and I really love Kyle Guy. I love the way he plays. I know his family. My daughters play volleyball with his sister, and the game has changed. He's pressured to go. He's being told, the agents, everyone just pushing him out of there. I think he loved his experience there. Everything has changed when it comes to that. And you have to be, everyone believes they got to be their own corporation and their own business and build their own brand. When I hear these NBA guys talking about their brand, I still think about Coach Knight. Like if you would have said that you were trying to build your brand, are you kidding me? You'd have been done in you'd have never suited up again. It wasn't about us. It was about the program. It was about our team, and it was about our teammates. And so all of that's changed, and that's no fun.
And you mentioned Kyle Guy and how much you enjoyed watching Virginia. Man, that's one that certainly got away, not just from Indiana, but from a lot of schools here, but specifically from Indiana. That's one that they missed on. And
you know what? The listeners may not like this, but I've got super juicy details regarding that I cannot share, unfortunately, and really disappointing because he's a guy that we should have had. No pun intended.
Well, feel free to share them with
him.
me off air. I won't share them.
His folks and his grandfather, huge Indiana fans, and it's just a shame that he didn't play in Assembly Hall and wear pinstripes. I mean, it's a shame.
It really is. I mean, again, because I say that's another one that got away, and I go back to the having all these IU kids, and another thing, back when you guys were playing, the amount of kids on the roster that were from Indiana, and if they weren't from Indiana, they were from Champaign or just around Illinois or close by. It was crazy.
There you go. Let me throw this one at you. So 1991-92, my first year that I redshirted, we had 13 guys from Indiana and three guys from Illinois, and they were Eric Anderson, Chris Reynolds from Peoria, and Jamal Meeks from, outside of Chicago. So we had 2 Chicago guys and a Peoria guy, and everybody else was Indiana. By the time I left 5 years later, it was me and maybe one other Indiana kid, maybe 2, and everybody else was Florida, Louisiana, Texas, California, and I was the captain of these teams, and we had guys that didn't know that we hated Purdue. They didn't know that we hated Kentucky. They didn't understand anything what was going on, and it was tough, to lead teams like that. Like nobody had to tell me when Calvert didn't have to tell me, or Eric Anderson didn't have to tell me that I was supposed to hate Purdue. I already knew. So. It was so much different by the time I left there. So that whole transition, it still happened. It happened under Coach Knight's watch. I mean, the roster really turned over, and it was a lot of out-of-state kids.
What led to that monumental shift, do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it could have been a shortage of talent in the state. I really don't know. All I know is we were getting All-Americans. Keep in mind, these guys were, Neil Reed was a McDonald's All-American out of Louisiana, even though he had lived in Indiana. Andre Patterson, Texas, McDonald's All-American. Charlie Miller was a, kind of right there, McDonald's All-American-ish player out of Miami. So and this was a very high-ranked recruiting class that came in. So it's not like he wasn't getting players. He was choosing guys. That was a big time recruiting class that came in, but they weren't Indiana guys, and they struggled. And it was tough to lead them. I mean, we had guys that didn't understand. They didn't understand what it was going to be like to play for him, and that was my job, is to get them in the preseason to understand how difficult it was going to be, and prep them for what a season is going to be like. And we were okay. I mean, these are tournament teams, by the way. I'm talking about it like we were epic failures. We weren't. By our standards now, we were a really good team. We finished tied for second in the Big Ten, and made the NCAA tournament. We'd have killed for that season this year, right? I mean, killed for it.
Absolutely, and it's funny you mentioned that shift, that paradigm of shifting players, because about that time also for the rest of Coach Knight's career at Indiana, he never got past the second round in the NCAA tournament.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the recruiting. I think if you asked Coach, I don't think he liked his staff at that point in time. I don't think his staff was necessarily getting it done. I don't think he was going out and maybe recruiting quite as hard as he used to. I don't know the answer to that. That's a guess. But again, he was pulling in guys that, you still get Dane Fife. I mean, those are Luke Recker. Those are McDonald's All-Americans. It's not like those were bad recruiting classes. Jason Collier, McDonald's All-American.
Jared Jeffries.
And they, when you get those guys, I think this ties us back up to the very first question you asked me. When you get those guys, it does not mean you're going to win titles. It's, there's still a lot of other parts that go into it. How bad do you want it? How tough are you? And certainly playing for Coach Knight, how tough are you? That's a big deal. That's a big question. And if you don't have the kind of toughness or heart to play for him, it doesn't matter how good you are.
And everything you've talked about kind of leads me in the early part of your NBA career. You were with Orlando. You were the first round pick for the Magic, and you were on the same team with Penny Hardaway, right?
Yeah.
He's having. You talk about recruiting of Fab Five type of year. He's having that right now at Memphis. It's unbelievable what he's bringing in there right now. Doesn't mean that there's going to be winning, but that's a hell of a recruiting class that he's got there.
Yeah, I don't follow it too super closely. I mean, I think I read an article, the other day that his class is catapulted to number one, and he's a likable guy. I think the key for him is there's so much right now. Like, he's coming from that AAU world, and he was coaching a lot of these kids, and he still had a lot of bling on his game, right? I mean, he was when I got there to Orlando, I mean, he was a big star. He was those Chris Rock commercials. I mean, Little Penny was a big deal, and a lot of people remember that. But his closeness to the AAU program, I think, has really helped him. He's known these kids. He's coached a bunch of them. Anybody from Tennessee, bordering states. He was coaching a AAU team that all these guys went and played for. So he had a leg up there. And then you get a little bit of momentum, right? He gets 2 or 3 guys, and the next 2 or 3 are trying to create that super team. And because all these young guys, they see what goes on in the NBA. When they watch Durant go and join the Warriors, they see that stuff, right? And so I think they go, we're all going there. Let's all go play at Memphis. And Penny will do a good job. But you know what? Let's give it 2 years and look back and let's see what they do. Because these are also kids that now you got to do it every year. I mean, ask Calipari, ask Krzyzewski. You got to when you go that route and recruit that type of kid, you got to get the next group of them too, because these guys are going to be gone.
Absolutely.
I mean, we got James Blackman leaving early. We've got guys that are leaving early that are not getting drafted. So the ones that are these 5-star blue chips, they're gone. They're going to be there for, it's going to be a Romeo experience.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's the people around them or if their heads are getting filled with things that are not really in their best interest, but you see it happen a lot, and they end up kind of paying the price sometimes.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is, and I don't know where all these guys get advice, but there's not a lot of open spots, right? It's a big boy league. They're pros, and you join a roster. If you're a first round pick, you get a 2-year deal with a team option for the 3rd year. Anybody that's not being drafted in that first round, they're not on that team, and there's a bunch of dogs that are fighting for those spots. I think these guys come in kind of soft, and they don't understand how much it is a man's league. They think they're going to just waltz in there, but how many retirement press conferences do you see every year? Very few.
Yeah.
No one retires. You kind of get run out of that league.
You just go away.
Rosters run out of spots. There's very few people have that retirement press conference. Even the best players are still trying to get squeeze another year out. But you got all these young guys every year that are coming in and they're going pro. I mean, we had a guy in our, I don't want to name any names, but we've got guys that average 5 points a game that are going to, send out feelers for the NBA. I mean, that's how far out of whack this thing has become. You've got non-starters at a program that didn't make the tournament that want to gauge their potential to go into the draft. I mean, if that system's not broken, I don't know what is.
Does that also say that their head's not where it should be, especially when you're a team that didn't succeed, like you mentioned, and that obviously they were a part of that? Is their head not where it needs to be on being better where they are right now?
Oh, I think so. 100%. I don't know if these guys just dream about playing in that league so much that they're blinded by that. I don't know, because it makes no sense. You're not leading your team to victories. You're averaging 7 or 8 points a game. You don't start, and you think that, so it's an ego thing, right? Because then you get to make that announcement. Because all you have to have is a Twitter account to say that I'm going to make your announcement. I'm going to go and, put my name in for the NBA draft. I'm going to put my name in. And I just can't believe how different this is. If anybody had done that playing for the guy that I played for, he'd come to your apartment and pack your bag for you. You would never play there again, which is funny. I mean, it's the way. I mean, so I know that there's a lot of old school in me because I love him and I believe in the way he approached it. And I really, when you're playing for a university and they're giving you an education, it wasn't about getting paid. And now that, that's the hot topic is these guys deserve money. Nobody gave us anything. In fact, he used to go visit professors from time to time and make certain that they weren't giving us a break. But in fact, he'd go to my professor and say, give him a hard time. I give Brian a hard time every day. Give him a hard time. He likes it. And it's so much different than what these guys are going through. They're just, and so, time it's 20 years ago, but it seems like a million.
Yeah, and you've got all the stuff that went on with the FBI investigation, with the shoe companies paying all these people. And a thing that I found troubling is yesterday you had Trendon Watford committing to LSU, which is obviously coached by a coach that was caught on wiretaps, saying things that probably not kosher to what's going on in the NCAA today.
I didn't catch that, and I've been kind of tracking that kid. I met him when he was just a little guy. 10 years ago. I didn't know that he had committed today. That bums me out that he didn't come to Bloomington. Sounds like he's a good player. Well, I saw his list of who he was considering, and I thought, well, how in the world can you go to LSU right now? But that just speaks. That tells a story. I have no idea what's going on. Everything has changed. It makes no sense. Nobody would have gone to LSU 20 years ago after all of that took place. That would be the last place you'd go. You'd take him off your list immediately. Yet, there he goes. So the landscape has changed, and I sound like an old dinosaur.
No, actually, I mean, I think a lot of people share your opinion. I do, and I think there's plenty of people that do. There are people that obviously don't, unfortunately, and that's a sad indictment on society, I think, and maybe the game, but just probably society in general.
Well, I still tune in and watch it. I love it. I love that you're playing for a university, and it's sad that some of these guys that are being fast-tracked to the NBA, you question their desire, or you question their heart, how bad because they're being forced to go to school. I mean, they wanted to go to the NBA, but the rules said they couldn't do it. And we're rooting for them like crazy. And it's like we want them to want it more than they want it. And that kind of sucks. But at the end of the day, when it's March Madness time, I'm not missing a minute. I'm watching it. I love it. This tournament, I think this past tournament might be the best one I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree.
So even though we have all these guys that are trying to defect to the NBA, and whether they should or not, at the end of the day, it's still a great brand of basketball. I love watching it.
Man, I could go on with you all day. You've been one of my favorite interviews, to be honest. This has been great. I could just shut up and let you talk all day, which I'm sure most people would appreciate anyway. But I'd love to be able to talk about your wife as a former volleyball player at Indiana. I'd love to talk to you about that in the future. There's such a connection between the IU basketball program and the volleyball program. It's kind of weird.
Oh, with like Benson and
just all kinds. Yeah, all kinds of connections. Just a great one at that. But look forward to that.
Oh, we love it. We go down. Well, we saw you down there, but my wife got a story, not all that dissimilar from mine, where she was a walk-on actually, and her first couple months on campus earned a scholarship and earned it all 4 years, and so I love her story. She dug it out of the ground the hard way, and kind of shares my views on some of these things. And I got 3 daughters and a son, but all the girls are they're following in their mother's footsteps. They all love volleyball. Nobody's into the hoops. My son, to be determined. He's almost 8. He's more of an ex-boxer than he is a hooper at this point in time, but we'll see.
Brian, I cannot thank you enough, man. It's been a pleasure to get to talk to you today, and I really, really appreciate it.
Hey, listen, I run my mouth. You call me anytime, man. I'm happy to come on the show. And if you're a friend of Todd's, you're a friend of mine. He was a great teammate back in the day. And, I know that I probably sound like a broken record because he and I probably think a lot alike. Todd's a great dude, and I'm rooting for him. And you just call me anytime, man. You shoot me a text, I'll come on your show.
Brian, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. Tell the family I said hello, and you guys have a great night.
We'll do it. Have a good one. We'll talk to you.
Thank you. Brian Evans, Indiana Hall of Famer, former Indiana basketball player. Man, I could have literally gone all day with him. Incredible. That may be the best interview we've had to date. But we've got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. Stay tuned. I'll be right back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Welcome along to Indiana Sports Beat. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. We appreciate you taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride. Jim Coyle with you. As always, Jake's at the wheel, keeping things on the track. Another good post-July 4th celebration. On the program today, Bob Kravitz, senior columnist from The Athletic. He's been in the Indiana area, IU grad, but was with WTHR. Prior to this, he was longtime columnist for the Indianapolis Star. Look forward to talking to Bob, his first appearance on the program. Todd Leary is with us as always. See what is going on in the life of Todd, the Todd father. Jake like that. Yogi Ferrell has a home for the next year in the NBA. He doesn't have to go anywhere. He'll be staying in Sacramento as his option was due up yesterday. So it was the decision day for the Kings. And they decided to keep Yogi in-house. So congratulations to Yogi Ferrell, another former Hoosier, signing an NBA contract. Goes along with Noah Vonleh. He got paid earlier in the week. None better than Thomas Bryant a while back. So congratulations to those guys. Juwan Morgan, he's participating in NBA Summer League action with the Utah Jazz. They just wrapped up the Utah portion of the Summer League, NBA Summer League. It now moves to Las Vegas, Nevada, where they have In-N-Out Burger, not Whataburger. But that begins today. And for the next 10 days in Las Vegas, the Summer League will be going on. So that'll be something for us to watch. On Sunday, the women's national team takes on the Netherlands in the World Cup final. That's at 11 a.m. So a lot of stuff to get to there. Looking forward to that. Hope everybody had a happy and safe and fun July 4th holiday yesterday. Man, there's a ton of people, I guarantee you, are not working today. Because I love when a holiday falls on a Thursday. Not for me, but for you, for everybody else. Because we're gonna be here working. But so many of you wisely just dump that Friday as an off day too. Now you got yourself a 5-day or a little 4-day holiday. Boom, boom. Not bad. Not bad at all. Jake had fun. He went to the longest continuous July 4th celebration in the U.S. 189 years strong down there in Pekin. Were you in the parade?
No, I wasn't.
Why not? You should. You're not the Grand Marshal?
No, I think a sheriff was the Grand Marshal yesterday. Long time.
The sheriff of?
No, not of Pekin. Pekin doesn't have a sheriff. We have one police officer, maybe two.
No, the sheriff of the county, I'm assuming.
Yes, yeah.
Really? 189 years strong, and the best you guys can do for a freaking Grand Marshal is the damn sheriff who's already right there?
Well, I think he retired is why he was the Grand Marshal this time. So he had been.
So does that mean that they were happy to get rid of him?
No, it was more of an honor and a thank you for your time.
Just saying, man. You'd think something is big. 189 years, man, the longest in the U.S., and they didn't know you were available. Maybe they didn't know you were available.
Yeah, maybe next year. Maybe next year I'll.
Yeah, they could have Indiana Sports Beat go live. I'd cover that. But welcome in for a post-July 4th celebration. I heard all the fireworks. I did not see a single firework go off. Not one. I mean, I didn't see them illuminate. Just where I am, the location was such just that everything was blocked. And I just didn't feel like going anywhere to have to see them. I really don't care, to be honest with you. I mean, I've seen enough fireworks. Boom, boom.
Once you've seen one, you've pretty much seen them all.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We were talking earlier, got into a conversation about, I responded to something yesterday on Twitter, nothing to do with sports. It was about, actually, and what it was originally about had nothing to do with what I responded. But we're talking about Whataburger and In-N-Out Burger, none of which are around here, unfortunately. But a big raging debate. You got your In-N-Out fans and you got your Whataburger fans. But Whataburger is the king, first of all. But they have twice as many restaurants in Texas alone as In-N-Out Burger does, period. But the great news that Jake illuminated me to, and I am so excited, Whataburger was bought out which is based in San Antonio, Texas, and they're only down there in the Southwest, South Florida, and places like that. But they were bought by a Chicago firm, an investment firm. They're going to be spreading out through the country, which means one day, I will be able to go purchase a Whataburger at my leisure. I just realized my daughter, Kylie, is down in Texas right now. I think she's in Houston. I hope every time that anybody I know goes there, I'm like, please bring me back some Whataburger. Just throw it in a cooler. I don't care. Never happens. But then he illuminated me to the fact that you can go online and purchase some Whataburger's condiments. There's spicy ketchup. Yep. Spicy mayonnaise. Yep. Yes, please. Yes, please. I was on spring break with Kylie a couple years ago, and we were in Florida, and they have Whataburgers there, of course. I went there like 7 days straight. She was done. She was so over it. She's not as much a fan as I am, but yeah, she was done with it. But I'm all about it, man. Get us some Whataburger. That you talk about a 4th of July celebration for me. Yeah, that'll light the fireworks off. That's how bored we are right now with sports. There's nothing going on. We're talking about Whataburger instead. There's just not a lot happening right now. We're only a couple weeks away, July 16th, to football media days, Big Ten media days. We'll be coming to you from Chicago for that, of course. But football, man, around the corner. I've been talking about it. We're inside of 60 days. August 31st, kickoff. We're not that far away. Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Indiana will be taking on Ball State. Kind of a fun deal. I've never enjoyed watching games from Lucas Oil from the press box, though. It's like being in the next town over almost. I mean, you talk about, man, they're up there. It's got to be like freaking 10 stories. Not a lot worse than the IU press box, I'll be honest with you. That one's pretty high. I mean, it's pretty doggone high. That, and I've talked about the fact that you can't hear the crowd. You don't hear the national anthem. You don't hear any of that stuff because you're kind of entombed in the press box. You lose the feel. I love that feel of a crowd, but
that one game you had me up in the press box. It was so strange. Just the only thing I could hear was just people tweeting, basically on
in Bloomington.
Keyboards. Yeah, it was just odd. It was an odd experience.
It is. People, I don't think people don't understand. You're removed. I mean, it's a working press box, obviously. There's no cheering and things like that, but I would like to just be able to hear the crowd. Because you lose a lot. I mean, you don't have to be as loud, but temper it a little bit. But a little something, mic or something. But yeah, it's kind of like you're in a tomb, man. It's very quiet, and they have their own. You have your own announcer there and whatnot. But I just like. Sometimes I'll walk outside just almost every game just for that feeling. And hopefully there'll be a lot to cheer about this year.
Can't beat the free donuts, though, up there.
Oh, in the morning they'll provide you donuts. They take care of you. But looking forward to it this year. I think it's going to be an exciting time. We'll see what Tom Allen can get done. He's done a great job with recruiting. Now it's time to get that transferred onto the football field and some productive wins. I think they do it, though. I wouldn't be surprised to see them win 7 games this year. I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if they don't win 7 games, but I won't be surprised if they do win 7 games. They're going to upset somebody. Somebody's getting upset this year. They have to. And if that happens, why not 2? Why not? It's time. I think it's time. But we shall certainly find out. On the program today, Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. Bob's first appearance on the show. Known Bob for a while now, but he's been around the Indiana scene for a long, long time. He's actually an IU grad. Bet you didn't know that, huh? Todd Leary, he's also on the program as well. Your mic wasn't on, Jake. Did you say something? Your mic wasn't on.
I said I knew that.
I did not know that, but anyway, Todd Leary joins us as well as Bob Kravitz. Bob's up next, so stay tuned. We got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. From the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, we're back with Bob Kravitz right after this.
Do the dog catch it, dog catch it, do the dog catch it, do the dog catch it, dog catch it, do the dog catch it.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This is former Indiana basketball player Greg Green. Keep up with the Hoosiers on the Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat with you. Thanks a lot for taking us along. Now joined by one of the most renowned columnists in Indiana, Bob Kravitz. Bob, how are you, sir?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Great. Been looking forward to having you on. Hope the summer's been treating you well. How's the golf game going?
Played one of the best rounds of my year yesterday, so I'm in a much better mood. It kind of scares me how much a good round of golf alters my mood, but man, it felt good to be able to hit the ball.
I hear you, man. There's a big difference between hitting that ball well and not hitting it well. It's so funny, but I hear what you're saying, man. It's been a rough year trying to get some golf in. It's been a lot of rain.
A lot of rain, but I'm making up for a lost time. Believe me, I'm playing today, and going to try to get as much golf in as I can before the weather turns once again.
Yeah, and as a writer, and writing is such a different thing. I don't know if people understand the research that goes into it and all of that. How important is it for you, and I know you can't speak for other guys, but yourself, to get that clear your mind, do that stuff in the summertime, get in the off season, kind of clear all that stuff out. How important is that to you to doing what you do?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. This summer in Indiana is very, very difficult. It always has been. I've been here 19, 20 years. And as far as work goes, I tend to dread the summer just because there's not much going on. But you just take advantage of every opportunity that comes along. I knew the Big Three, basketball, Ice Cube's Big Three was coming through. And I thought Greg Oden would be a heck of a piece. Obviously a lot with the draft and free agency with the Pacers. That takes up a couple of weeks. But, yeah, it's quite a challenge. But, look, what I do, it's all about, for the most part, it's about reporting. And you just got to keep your nose to the grindstone and keep reporting those stories.
Yeah, and talking about that, and things have changed so much in the world of sports reporting with online and everybody's a reporter now almost. I mean, there's guys that I see that when a recruit's coming to IU, y'all see some fan that's out there taking pictures and posting it. It's kind of nuts that everybody tries to be a reporter now.
Yeah, the internet, Twitter is a double-edged sword. The good thing is it gives everybody an opportunity to speak their piece. On the other hand, it gives everybody the opportunity to speak their piece, whether they're qualified or not, whether they're educated or not. Their stuff is out there in the public sphere. So it's really a double-edged sword, but, you have to be a really discerning reader and understand, who's verified on Twitter, who knows their stuff, who's well connected. Like in the NBA, you know it's going to be Woj and those guys. In the NFL, it's going to be Adam Schefter and those guys. After that, you really have to see, if you're seeing information on Twitter, you have to see how many followers they have and whether they have the blue check mark.
Yeah, and something I've noticed, even on things that involve like IU or something like that, a lot of times, if it's a big story, it'll end up getting broke by, a national writer, someone like yourself, as opposed to people who actually maybe follow them even closer for whatever reason. But it's always guys like you that are able to break those stories. How are you able to maintain those relationships, do all the things that it takes to do that? Because it's just not easy.
Well, one of the criticisms that writers get in individual cities is how come you guys didn't get it, but Adam Schefter got it? Or how come you guys didn't get it, but Woj got it? Look, these people who are sharing it, first, they've got an incredible pipeline of agents and, front office people, mostly agents, who pass those things along to them. They've worked many, many years and made many, many phone calls and gone to many, many cocktail parties to build those relationships. That's something that we could, in theory, do. It's something we should do more of. But look, if you are an agent and you want it out there that your guy just signed a 3-year contract for $35 million, would you rather go to Adam Schefter, who's got the biggest megaphone in football, or would you rather go to the guy from the Indianapolis Star who has a megaphone, but it's not quite as big?
Right on. And the industry has changed so much with this digital age. You've been able to continue to reinvent yourself. Now with The Athletic, one of the most prominent suppliers of information out there. And The Athletic has really grown immensely quickly.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, they're going to the UK to do English Premier football. So they are growing by leaps and bounds. We had an WNBA vertical, a motorsports vertical, an MMA vertical, I believe a boxing vertical, and all this stuff has been like in the last 4 months. It feels like. Excuse me. So they are going like crazy. I love the concept behind it, and I hope to God that it will continue to change the face of sports journalism, because I think this is the future for a business that really, really has struggled as newspapers and the print medium in general have struggled over the years.
And obviously I work in a different medium, but it seems to me that is an aspect that would give you a lot more freedom to not have the restrictions of, say, a newspaper as such.
I'm sorry, I kind of missed you there a little bit.
I said, obviously, I'm in a different medium, but from my perspective looking in, it seems like working for The Athletic would give you a lot more freedom as opposed to working for, say, a newspaper or that has a lot more restrictions editorially wise. It seems like you're a lot more on your own now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the freedom is wonderful. You don't have to worry about the small stuff. Look, I think newspapers and The Athletic can work side by side. They can coexist beautifully. But we're not going to get all bent out of shape about the latest hamstring pull. We're more interested in the human element. We're more interested in the bigger picture, as it were. And, like I had Greg Oden, a Greg Oden piece pretty much done, but I thought I wanted to add a couple of voices, so I did that. Talked to Pritchard, talked to Nate McMillan, some other folks. So, yeah, it's an incredible amount of freedom, but, freedom can be dangerous. It depends on what you do with all that freedom, and hopefully they like what I'm doing.
Wow, great point there, Bob. And we'll talk about the Pacers. You obviously cover them as one of the things that you do. A lot of moves here of late in free agency in the NBA. It was crazy, maybe the craziest free agency they've ever had. But the Pacers did okay, but I'm not sure that they didn't hit really a lot of grand slam home runs, but maybe they got done what they wanted to get done.
Yeah, I just think that if you're the Indiana Pacers, you're always going to be trying to hit doubles into the gap in free agency. I think where they're going to make their mark is either in the draft, which is difficult because they refuse to tank. So they're always going to be in the middle of the pack or, the back third of the pack when it comes to drafting, or through trades. And I think the TJ Warren trade is exactly the kind of trade that the Pacers can make now because they are under the salary cap, and they can make uneven trades. So they can take on a guy who's making $12 million, $15 million in salary and give back very little. It doesn't have to be within X percent of the other number. So they've got options because they are, we're under the cap. I like the moves they've made. still am a little bit confused by the whole Goga Bitadze draft, just because I think three bigs are going to be hard. It's going to be hard to get productive minutes from all three. But I do think that down the road, once we get to the trade deadline, I think that Sabonis may very well be a guy who's on the block.
Yeah, and then a lot of moves involving former IU players here in the NBA of late. A lot of guys signing contracts. Thomas Bryant got a nice contract. Noah Vonleh. Yogi Ferrell just got his option picked up yesterday. So good news for him. Just keeping those IU guys in the league. That's a good promotional commercial for IU.
Yeah. Now, what the new guy, what Archie needs is for his guys, the guys who went pro, to have some success. I mean, all those guys you mentioned were Tom Crean guys, I believe. Let's see what Romeo does. I think Romeo is going to be very, very interesting to watch now that he's got, his thumb repaired. I really do feel like he's going to be a better pro than he was a college player, but we'll see. I mean, I still think he's got some technical things he's got to do with his shot. You don't know how much that thumb injury altered or impacted his shot last year. We'll find out pretty quickly.
Yeah, we've seen, if you follow Twitter, you've seen the pictures in training with Romeo. They've had a ping pong paddle on his left hand, trying to alter his shot, get his hand off the ball, just trying to physically change the way he shoots the ball. But I think that the Boston Celtics, and more importantly, Brad Stevens, is probably a good landing spot for Romeo as he could have asked for.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the same thing for Carson Edwards. I think Brad, even though, Brad will be the first to say he never really got that team head in the right direction this past year. I mean, we all know what a fine coach he is. He's got a terrific assistant coaching staff. So, I think Romeo is walking into a good situation where he doesn't have to be a big time scorer right away. He can kind of grow and take his time. So I think that he's in a good place, as is Carson Edwards.
You mentioned Archie Miller, IU's head coach. The pressure is going to build on him this year. He's missed the tournament the last 2 years. IU has missed it 3, 8 of the last 11 for that matter. But there's going to be pressure starting to build on him with this season, I think.
No doubt. Look, I don't think this is a make or break season for him unless, they're 11-22 or something. But, I don't think they're going to be looking at their roster right now. I don't think they're going to be a really good team this coming year. And I think heading into his 4th year, which would be next year, he's really going to be up against it. He's going to have to prove that he can do it. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not impressed. I'm just not. I don't think they've played hard. I don't think they've played smart. I don't think they've played with a lot of grit. All the things we saw from his overachieving Dayton teams, we haven't seen here in Bloomington. So, like I say, I don't think next year is make or break, but I think it'll set the table for a very important 4th year for him.
And then you add to the fact that recruiting has not gone exactly as a lot of people like for it to. He's done kind of okay within the state, but it's those guys that reside further than 60 miles away from Bloomington they haven't done very well with. 0 for 20 in this 2019 class.
Yeah, you probably know, you and Jeff Rabjohns, my friend, probably know more about that than I do. I mean, I know they got Armand Franklin. I know they got Trace Jackson Davis. Who they think is going to be terrific. Well, look, I think some of the guys they got coming back are going to be pretty good, but he just hasn't shown yet that he can put a team together, and I just don't know what kind of shooting they have yet. It's got to be better than last year. I don't know how you can be worse. But, yeah, I just think that he has yet to show that he's the right guy for this job, and I was the guy who did not believe that Tom Crean should have been fired in the first place, so I'm just not sold on Archie Miller just yet, but I'm not ready at this point to say that he can't get the job done.
And on top of that, now he has an opening on his staff, which would be the first time that's happened since he's been at IU. It's an opportunity. To me, this is 2 years from now, people are going to look back and say that's where it picked up, or that's where it could have picked up and didn't. But I think that this hire is going to be very critical for him.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Eddie Schilling was a big part of the program. I'm not sure the whole backstory there. I apologize for not having any insight there, but yeah, I think this is going to be an important hire for him and somebody who can recruit, somebody who can work with players. There's no doubt. I mean, I've seen Dane Fife's name mentioned. I'm like, why would Dane take that job when he's basically the top assistant in Michigan State? So I think if Dane ever came back here, it would be as head coach. So I don't know who they're targeting, but it's going to be a very important position.
Yeah, I know you're getting ready to leave on vacation. What are you working on besides resting coming up here soon?
Absolutely freaking nothing. I'm going to play golf in a little while. I'm going to take my dogs to doggy daycare, and we are leaving for vacation tomorrow morning. So I am working on drinking beer and smoking cigars and reading books and lying on the beach with my decidedly not beach body.
Man, that sounds like a dream life for the next 2 weeks. Wish I was going to get to do that, but I cannot thank you enough for coming on, Bob. I wish you a happy and relaxing vacation.
Thank you very much. I will do my very best.
Bob, thank you, sir. We look forward to talking to you again in the near future. Have a great vacation.
All
Bob
right.
Kravitz from The Athletic.
Thank
You
you.
can find him at B Kravitz on Twitter and with The Athletic, of course. Bob Kravitz, a longtime columnist in the Indiana area, currently with The Athletic, formerly of The Star. Hey, up next on Indiana Sports Beat, our good friend Todd Leary joins us from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this.
Digging deeper through the ditch every chance he missed and the mess he made. Cause hate is such a strong word, and every brick he laid, a mistake they say that his walls are getting taller, his world is getting smaller, better stay put it together.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
To the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle with you here on this post-July 4th celebration on a Friday, joined by none other than our good friend Todd Leary. Todd, how are you, brother?
I am great this morning. How you doing?
Good, good. Did you get all your snakes and sparklers lit off yesterday?
I've never been a big firework guy, so I didn't partake. I went and watched them, but that's about it.
I didn't even watch them. I heard them, but I did not see a single spark go off last night, so I got you beat.
Yep.
Which is rare for me. How was your July 4th? Did you do any? Did you have to work? Were you able to take it off at least? You're always working.
Man, we took it off. So the cemetery business takes only a couple days a year off, and that's one of them. So it was a nice little respite. Now I'm back at it early this morning.
Always at it, man. Always at it. What's going on now with you? How do you, besides working, what do you do? Do you get to play much golf in the summertime?
Well, it depends on how you consider much. Like to the average person, yes, I play a lot. But I guess if you compare it to pros, I don't play that much. So, I play my fair share for sure. And especially now that I got to come back to Evansville, there's so many great courses, and I got a lot of buddies from back at IU that live around here. So it's I've played quite a bit here in town.
So I'm going to assume you're a much better golfer than our friend Pat Graham.
Oh yeah, Pat sucks. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, Pat, he got really, really good about 10 years ago, and he got bored with it. So then he took up fishing and hunting and all other kinds of stuff. So he could be really, really good. He just doesn't ever play anymore. We played a couple of weeks ago, and he hadn't played in 2 years, and he played awesome. So he's an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. You hate people like that, can just pick something up and 2 years later like that and just be good at it. Crazy.
Yep.
Crazy. A lot of IU guys in the NBA right now. Yogi Ferrell just got an option picked up yesterday. He gets to stay in Sacramento, which is nice for him.
Did you say get to or has to?
There you go. I mean, I haven't been to Sacramento, so I wouldn't know. But playing for the Kings, I guess, can't be that much fun.
Well, playing it on any team is awesome, that's for sure. But that's a guy that I know you're not really asking me this question, but that's one of those guys. If you put him in the right system, he'll be a 15-year NBA guy. But I'm not sure Sacramento's that system.
Well, and I'll be honest with you. When he came out, I said, "There's no way he's going to make it, man. He's just not big enough. He's done it. He just worked his butt off and proved to everybody wrong. And this is I think his 4th year in the NBA."
Yeah, and he did it the hard way. Like he had to make a team, and then he was just hanging on, and then he just did exactly what you said. He's the perfect, role model for what you want to explain to kids of how tough it really is, because everyone told him he couldn't play, he couldn't make it. Kind of said the same thing when he got to IU. I mean, he didn't come in as, he was going to be the savior at IU, and I mean, that kid, by the time he left, was one of the, most fun players to watch play and one of the most efficient and productive guards that's played there maybe ever. So he's just, he's a great example of showing kids. I can remember back when he was in the 8th grade, and his dad, I remember reading an article of his dad holding him out of AAU basketball for the whole summer just to work on little skills and things like that. And I'm like, man, that is a disciplined, awesome move and an awesome family. So it's just kind of neat to watch him be successful now.
How hard would it be to see somebody do that today?
Oh my gosh. You would think that their parent was the worst parent in the world. You would think that was such a dumb decision. And, I just can't imagine anybody would come away from that thinking it was positive, but it certainly was. And these kids get so worn out. I mean, trust me, I have gone through that circuit as heavy as anyone can do it. And I can tell you, I wore my son out. Like I wore my whole team out. Heck, I had kids that were quitting basketball, and it took all of that for me to realize, hey, we might need to chill out on this. It's a live and learn. And unfortunately, I didn't learn it fast enough. But that AAU circuit is a grind, and it's very difficult to play 100+ games in a summer and have the Bob Knight, you should win every game and every game is just as important as the next type attitude. And that's what I went into it with. And I'm just not sure those two things commingle and work together.
Absolutely. A little bit of good news for the IU women's basketball team. Their star, Allie Patberg, granted a rare 60-year of eligibility from the NCAA. That just came out this morning.
I thought they only did that for kids from Iowa.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah, the ones that kill you with 3-point shots.
More kids that seem like they played a 6th year or 10th year or whatever it was. It's just amazing how many of those guys. Jess Settles, I think that guy literally played 8 years in NCAA.
Well, that's a gigantic boost for the IU women's team because she now has 2 years remaining of eligibility. So, and she was all Big awesome. 10 second team last year, so that's great for them.
Yeah, it really is. And it's good. It's finally, you see some of those decisions where it looks like the NCAA actually is making a decision that's best for the kid. And I hate to turn this into a political statement about that, but this is a situation that I think it's good for the program for sure, but this is the right thing to do for the kid. And that's a good thing.
Exactly. And that's a rare thing that you see happen. I know there was a couple of years ago, IU had a football player that because of a clerical error by somebody in an administrative office, just a clerical error, he lost an entire year of eligibility over that. And I think that was the biggest, dumbest thing the NCAA could do. It just, all they had to do was say, hey, this was a mistake and it could have been easily fixed. But they cost a kid an entire year of eligibility over a clerical error.
Yeah, there is, I think that's a huge part of the criticism that has gone on with the NCAA is they don't seem to have a common sense meter when it comes to some of the rules and rulings that they have in situations. And, it's kind of the same situation the IHSAA has. Look, I'm going to jump all over and get all kinds of political jabs in here, but the IHSAA doesn't have much of a common sense meter either. And those guys make decisions. Sometimes you just wonder how they could think in their mind that was the right thing for a kid or to benefit a kid, which should be their number one goal. And in this case, they did it right. So we should give them some credit.
Absolutely. Now Bob Kravitz was on earlier with us. I know you know who Bob is from your playing days. He was around.
Of course. He's the second craziest BK I know.
Oh man, that's good, brother. That's good. Kudos.
Thank you.
The Todd Father. That's why we call you the Todd Father.
I thought it was Toddcast. I had my Toddcast.
The Todd Father does the Toddcast.
There you go. All right, cool.
But I was talking, and I pointed out, I was talking about some of the guys that are IU guys that are in the NBA now, and he noticed, and he mentioned, those are all Crean's guys. He goes, now Archie's got to get that going. Romeo is the first of that opportunity, and Romeo in Boston couldn't have landed in a better place. I think we talked about that last week, but right. It is true. I mean, Archie needs to get guys in the league for these other kids to see that that's possible through Indiana still.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always your devil's advocate on this subject because I don't think that Indiana needs, 8 5-stars on the team. I think they need 1 or 2 really good 5-star guys, every 2 or 3 years, and they need a bunch of role players to fill in. Now, the role players are the ones who need to play above their expectations and abilities. And those are the guys who need to worry about how many rebounds they get and not how many points they score, and worry about, defensive stops and who's the best defender on the team and those things. I mean, when's the last time we had a 5-star recruit come in that worried about being the best defender on the team? And, when you have 2 or 3 of those guys, and then you can get the makeup of a bunch of other guys that are willing to fill roles and feel really good about it and do it with a lot of pride and passion and play hard, that's when you have the teams that are special. And so I don't care about how many guys go off to the NBA and that kind of stuff. I mean, Juwan Morgan and those guys, when they come in, I don't think anybody at IU was talking about what great pros they're going to end up being. But I think right now, if you put him on the Celtics, I think Brad Stevens would figure out a way to make him a pretty darn good NBA player. But, hopefully he gets that opportunity somewhere along the road. But I don't care how many NBA prospects we have that come into IU. I want to see them develop as a team and have a good makeup and feel good about playing with each other and be fun to watch.
Right, but it's not. I'm not necessarily talking about having the 5 stars, but guys get to the league, whether they could be a 3-star, he could be a Brian Evans who comes, as he claims that he was a 2-star, but that you still get there, no matter whether it's being coached into that position or just having the natural talent. I think it's very important for teams to produce that, so those higher level guys can see that that's still possible.
Yeah, and you're right. Maybe I misunderstood where we were going. I just immediately jump on the defensive when we start talking about, recruiting and the fan base and all that. Is they only get excited if someone's rated really high. I mean, you can literally watch people talk about, oh, well, he's only a blank star because, he's not as highly rated. And those people who rate them, it's just awful. Like they do not know what they're talking about 90% of the time, and they're not skilled or educated enough to be able to make those evaluations. So I don't put too much stock into that, but you're right. He needs to have some scenarios where he develops like a Dwayne Wade type thing that Tom Crean had, where he turns him into one of the best NBA players ever. And he wasn't a highly rated high school player either. So you're right. Those kind of scenarios would really help Archie out when it comes to bringing in any level of player to let them know, hey, we're going to develop you to the best of your ability, and we think it has a chance of moving on to the next level and doing this for a living.
Archie has an assistant's spot open right now. It cracks me up when you hear names like from fans, like they always want to mention Michael Lewis and Dane Fife, and I'm like, those guys they're not coming to be the third assistant at IU. Michael's one of the top assistants at UCLA. Dane's top assistant at Michigan State. They're not coming to take a third spot.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen for sure. And you made a terrific point last week when we talked about the Michael Lewis situation. That was just
say that again.
I forget where I was going with that. But, no, you did. You made a great point last week in saying that, timing is such a big factor when it comes to these situations, whether it's a head coach or an assistant coach. And, the timing when Archie Miller was hired, the Ohio State job not being open at that time and Dayton being right there in Ohio. Had that Ohio State job been opened a little bit earlier, Archie might have gone to Ohio State. Who knows? But it wasn't, and Thad Matta was still there, and he left a month or 6 weeks later. And who knows how these scenarios play out, and timing is such a huge factor. And Michael Lewis, he may have taken that job just because I think with his name, I think he would have moved up within the realm of first assistant to third assistant, whatever it is. I don't think that's as big a deal as what a lot of people make it out to be. It's not really like that kind of depth chart, but Michael Lewis may have taken the IU job had it been available 3 weeks earlier, but it just wasn't the case. And there's no sense talking about it a bunch because he's, I'm sure, going to do a tremendous job at UCLA. And IU's got to find the next, the guy that's going to fit for them. And whether it's an IU guy, if that could work out and the scenario worked out great, then it would be terrific. But if it doesn't, and it's not an IU guy, I don't think that's a failure by any means. And I don't see that as a negative towards Archie or his staff at all.
No, being an IU guy, I think would be great. Like I've said it many times, it would be awesome for a number of reasons. But
the best candidate to do the job is what is most important especially for Archie right now, because he's got to get the job done, period, end of story. So he's got to put the best people in place to get that done. And someone that's a recruiting specialist is probably going to be helpful there. I don't know. I don't know the coaching aspect is as much needed as the recruiting side.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I think there are a lot of factors with this that will go into it. And, I do not know the inside scoop as to, why Ed Schilling left at the time he did. It's a little unusual with the timing, but I also don't think that there's probably not a list, whether it's in a hidden file cabinet or in his phone or just in the back of his mind, that I'm sure Archie has had his eye on some different people that if the circumstances came about, that's somebody they would reach out to and want to have come in for their coaching staff. I mean, it's not like this is some crazy thing. This is the first time this has ever happened. Surely these guys are prepared for these kinds of situations. There's probably a short list that Archie's got of who he'd like to come in and take that spot.
Absolutely. Hey, back in when you were in school, the summers when they rolled around, how much were you guys able to get away from basketball and kind of have somewhat of a life?
We got 1 week before school started. We literally started summer school the day after we got out of regular school, and we had our jobs, and we did 5:30. I think it was 5:30. Well, heck, it was a long time ago. We'll call it 5 a.m. workouts. We did that. Then we had school, and then we went to our regular jobs, and then we played at 5:30 at night, scrimmaging and workouts and stuff like that. So there was no break. Summers were worse than during the school year, to be honest with you, from an actual workout and timing perspective. But we were very fortunate to have 1 week before school started that we didn't have any workouts. And trust me, we felt like we had to take advantage of that week, and everybody generally just went home and visited with their family a little bit. I was fortunate to be from Indianapolis, so I could drive home, after practice one night and be back the next morning. It wasn't that big a deal, but there was a lot of guys that wasn't the case. So that 1 week was big for us.
Did you leave Greg Graham stranded?
Heck no, he rode with me everywhere we went. I never went to Indy. He didn't go with me. Trust me. I remind him of that all the time too.
Oh, try. He mentioned it when he was on the show a while back. He said, "You really got that in car, man."
Yep. I became a whole lot more popular as soon as I had a free pizza card and a car to drive around. Everybody liked me. I couldn't understand it.
The difference is now NCAA they mandate the practice time and all that stuff today. How much difference do you think that would have been on your time now and back then without that?
Like halfway through my playing career, they came out with that rule where you had to have 1 day a week off. And Coach Knight was really, really good at figuring out that if we got done with practice at 6:00 at night and we didn't have practice until the next day at 6:30 p.m., that was 24 hours off. So we never truly had very many days off. He always figured out a system around that. We might just have to practice at a weird time, but he was real good at figuring a way around the NCAA's stupid rules.
So 10 weeks into that, were you practicing at 3:30 in the morning?
He would figure out some way to make it on a travel day or something where our travel day was our day off. I mean, trust me, there were no days off. There was no days off.
What's the Todd father got coming up for the rest of the summer, man?
Man, I'm kind of on cruise control right now. We've got it pretty easy. We got just the usual work, nothing big scheduled. So not a whole lot. Pretty boring.
Gotta love it. Looking forward to you getting up with me. We got to play some golf soon, man.
I'm in. Let me know when.
The Todd father, Todd Leary, joining us as he does each and every Friday, man. That's your new name. I love it. Hey, you know what? That's going to be the Jake from now on, the Godfather, the sound that comes in with the Godfather. It's going to be your new walk-up music.
Oh, man, I'm badass. It'll work out perfect.
Todd, thank you, brother. I appreciate you as always. Have a great July 4th weekend.
I appreciate it. Thank you. You too. Be safe.
Thank you. Todd Leary, our good friend, joined us here as he does each and every Friday. Man, great show today. To Bob Kravitz. Great interview with Bob.
actually. And Todd, as great as always. We got to hear Brian Evans earlier and a lot of great things. Hey, I hope everybody has a fun and safe weekend. If you've taken the day off, you got the big 4-day weekend. Congratulations. Wish you well for everybody. We'll be back on Monday with plenty more. For Jake, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.